So,
This isn't the podcast. I'm just short version.
Obviously, I moved into college about, I want to say a little bit less than a month ago, like August 18th. Yeah. I gotta keep the dorm room as kind of, I gotta get as many decorations as possible.
I'm the same way. This is banner pretty soon, but yeah. I'm going to have one here, and then I got another empty wall over here. I think I'm going to do a plug collect one on.
Yeah, but right now, I'm kind of just focusing on school and shit. Like, I mean, I'm doing the best I can with the podcast. I did an interview last Sunday. I kind of found time to do that. But yeah, I'm really just trying to do like some weekly interviews just to have content constantly going out. Obviously, with like rushing a frat and everything like that, I'm going to have to like balance time and everything like that. So it's definitely going to be hard, but I'm pretty excited for everything to come.
And just build. Honestly, brother, I waited till this year to do this, and like I spent a little time when I was busy with other stuff. Instead of building the brand, I was just building systems that made running the brand easier. And so like I did more research on literally typed into Google, I'm busy as fuck, but want to keep my startup going. Like, how can I keep it active on social media? And it was just like, you just start to see, they're like, oh, use this app. It's free. You know, you can do video editing with this. There's a bunch of stuff I can put you onto that's like free and like video editing, like just simple. This alone, I shot the first episode on Riverside yesterday, but
how'd it go?
I don't know if you've heard of it, but they do like your audio enhancement. This is not the real clip, so they'll clean up the picture too for us. Like they record it on your laptop and in the cloud, so if your Wi-Fi goes out, it still will be saved.
Yeah,
that would have been nice considering our last one. And I'm literally on a free trial right now, like just testing it out with these episodes. But it's like $20 a month for 5 gigabytes. So that's 5 episodes for me, which is fine. Because I'm probably shooting like three if that a month. I'm pulling up here.
Yeah, I'm constantly trying to, if I'm not always posting, like I still have a lot of episodes in the cache ready to go.
That's good.
But I'm really just trying to stay active on social media as much as I can.
Yeah.
Just because, like, hey, I might not have episodes coming out, but like, I'm still here.
Well, you're very smart for that, and I think you only learn that from actually doing it. Because now you've built something you don't really want to go away from, and I was kind of in the same boat. And honestly, I think this is a pretty good place to start. So I'll just kind of welcome you in. Everybody, if you're watching this, you're either watching it on PLUGtalk. Welcome everybody. PLUGtalk episode 3, take 2 with our boy Michael because some technical difficulties, and that's just how it is when we're starting out. But Michael is the host and creator of Web3 Weekly. He also is a finance major at the University of Kentucky. He's 18 years old and one of the smartest guys I've met in the Web3 space. As far as young success goes, I think you're someone who, like, even though, like, when people think success and, like, they go to these, like, higher places, like celebrities, like, you're a true example of, like, someone who's in the process, but the consistency is shown and the opportunities are there. And just because it's not publicized everywhere, our conversations, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like, you're doing brand sponsorship. Like, you know, you're having that creative artwork in the back was like a connection you made, in Twitter, like, and you're 18. So everybody, I think there's a lot you can learn regardless of how old you are here. And Michael, welcome on.
I mean, I'm doing great. Like, I'm happy we were able to find time in both of our busy schedules. I mean, we both woke up pretty early to get this done just because I got class later, and I'm sure your schedule is very busy with whatever you're doing.
It's 7:30 a.m. He isn't like across the country. Like, I woke up to like make this happen. Like, no, but that's what I love about it. And that's right off the bat. I'll say I had a little bit of that at 18, but not like, I probably wasn't getting up at 7:30 to rip a podcast because I wasn't even comfortable being on camera yet. But cool, man. I want to start with, we're going to get into like the whole like just transitioning into college and whatever soon. But what was your first taste of entrepreneurship?
Ooh. So, like pure entrepreneurship of like kind of last summer, I got in like the summer of like, wait, no, I can actually go back to eighth grade. So,
Cool.
do you remember when like,
Get when I asked that question because I like to.
yeah, yeah. So,
Uh,
do you remember when like Supreme was like, obviously Supreme's big now, but like when it like first got off, like everybody thought like if you watched Supreme, like you were the coolest dude like ever.
yeah.
So I remember going on Amazon and I was like, dude, I want to get something Supreme. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I didn't know like where really Supreme came from or however to buy it. And I saw on Amazon that you could buy like a pack of pretty much just like fake Supreme stickers, like a pack of 100 for like $10. I was like, oh, bet, perfect. So I just bought it for fun because it was the only Supreme stickers I could find. And then after, you use only about three of them, you're like, shit, what am I gonna do with like 90 Supreme stickers? So I ended up selling them like $1 per at school, stuff like that. I guess you could say it's my first like taste of entrepreneurship, and then I actually was surprised because I sold a lot. I mean, I'd have kids by like 5, 6 just because they wanted to put them on like their iPad or Chromebook or really
Yeah,
whatever. So
because in reality, yeah, that market survives purely just to get really quickly because unless you understand and you actually follow it every day, an everyday person is just going to see it, think it's real. They don't care.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, also like we were all in eighth grade. No, nobody's out here like coming up to you and asking you if it's authentic. It's just like, dude, dope sticker, bro. Like they're not going super in depth with everything just because. I mean,
Eighth grade.
we're in eighth grade.
Cool, man. So, like, what are you doing now, and why? I want to know kind of uh, why you do it.
Yeah, so especially with what I'm doing with Web3, a Web3 Weekly and everything like that. So,
And
I
this
mean,
thing,
I feel like there's a lot.
just for the viewers, like if you want to be like, what are you doing now? Like, get into what the podcast is. Definitely, like, go for it. Feel free.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, right now I'm really just working on managing my time.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you mentioned how I'm currently studying at the University of Kentucky. I'm a freshman, and like there's many parts of my schedule where it's just like I don't know how I'm gonna fit this all in, but you kind of eventually figure it out. And also, like, not only am I studying finance, I'm taking a few business classes, but I mean, I'm a freshman, so I'm taking a lot of gen ed. I could talk and on about how I don't really think gen ed's the best way to go. I think I'd be happy to get thrown right into my major, but I
Yeah.
mean, with my accounting class as well as the Wall Street Scholars program that I'm in, I'm kind of just finding as much time as possible to get my side hustles done as well as hang out with friends and just be able to do the things that I enjoy. Just because if you're not having that balance of school with like just the balance of school and happiness, doing what you do, you kind of go crazy. And obviously, everyone's in college to get a degree. But if you're not having fun in college, you're not going to really end up like making it out.
No, I agree. I mean, I appreciate that you're already getting a taste of that because it's just so like you have more time than you think you have, and you don't need to spend. It's not normal to like you shouldn't be stressed out all day, and like do things on purpose where you're not stressed out. And like then I noticed like people think like success will just like naturally come or happiness just won't naturally come. If I talk about this like a little bit, I won't get too deep into it. But at the end of the day, it's a feeling, and it's not really what's happening. It's more how you feel about what's happening. So all you gotta do is like stack those like small wins, and you do the same thing in college. Like you're like, oh, this is fun. Somebody's just having like a dorm thing. I did the same thing, right? A friend of a friend, and nobody cares freshman year, and that's what I love about the difference between going right into college after high school versus doing something else is it's a controlled environment where like in a sense of like you're going there and really everyone there is to meet people anyway, so there's no like you're putting yourself in a place
Yeah, like I
where people
mean,
talk to you.
yeah, like we're just I'm just pretty much living in like a little like sect of Lexington, Kentucky, where everyone is my age. No, everyone's here
Yeah,
to
they're
have
all
fun.
somewhat
Everyone's here
interested in
to,
what you're
yeah,
interested in.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
And it makes it easier, like talking to people, just because no one's like, there's no just like random people on the street. Like we're all on campus. We're all here to. I mean, we're all going to go to dining hall in the morning. We're all going to go to class later. Probably a lot of us are going to go to the gym after. So you see a lot of people regularly. I've had a lot of people come up to me, maybe at like just kind of like hangouts and stuff. They're like, "Dude, I swear I've seen you all over campus. Like, what is your name?" And like, then you meet people like that and everything. There's so many
Now,
opportunities to
what are
meet
you
people in
involved
college.
in
I mean,
so far? I thought I noticed you're doing weightlifting.
yeah.
Over
So
there, cool.
in high school, I power lifted, and I was like, well, obviously, I'm thinking about joining a fraternity, but also I want to have some clubs, have some fun
Good
things
for
to
you.
do. And since I had like a powerlifting background, I was like, well, the powerlifting club seems perfect, just because it's like it's just another group. But I mean, the guys have been great so far. They're really nice. I mean, everyone's there to kind of help build each other up. How powerlifting and stuff works is that you're really not competing against each other. We kind of train all together and then we compete. I think we're going to compete around December in one of the Kentucky like state meets, just to see where we can end up. I mean, last summer when I competed, that's how I met a lot of the powerlifting guys
So you
at
need an
UK,
aspire
because
to
they
head
were,
to the UK.
yeah, yeah. So I've competed in one non-high school powerlifting meet, and that was the USPA meet this summer, which is, if anyone doesn't know, it's the United States Powerlifting Association, kind of like the main just association for
Cool.
powerlifting that's not controlled by high schools and stuff.
Sweet. Nice. Cool, man. I'm gonna take a different gear with this question. Kind of, what's a cool idea you think someone else should invent?
Oh shit. Um. Oh, trying to think, like, normally when people create stuff, it's like, what problem do I have in everyday life where if there
Yeah.
was a tool or something I could get it fixed?
Mhm.
Ooh. Um, Probably, damn. Now you got me thinking. It's like
Yeah.
I don't think this part of my brain's ever worked.
We can come
Maybe,
back to it at the end too. There's like a little.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
come
yeah.
back to it at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah.
Just think about it. That's no problem. I've heard some like interesting stuff. I've only shot a couple episodes this year with it. Okay, so we're hitting August. Obviously, you've talked about this entrepreneurial journey that's been, I'd say what 12 to 15
Yeah.
months. Wherever you're at. What do you think is the biggest thing you've learned this year? So like just January to August, just think about where everything was at compared to where it's at now, and just like what you've been able to do in 8 months and complete. It's a whole. I
Okay.
mean, you were a second semester. It's so funny, and I just want to touch on this. My biggest thing going in my senior year of high school was thinking, holy shit, like I'm gonna have my whole second semester of high school, an entire track season, and be in college for 4 months before the end of this year. Like that is like,
Yeah.
like
It was a
college,
crazy feeling.
doing business. I'm like, holy shit! I didn't even committed yet. I was like, I don't even know where I'm going. But by the end of this year, I'm gonna already
Yeah.
been there 4 months. Like, oh my god! So I'm just curious to hear. What's the biggest thing you've learned from that whole process?
I think I've really learned that it's consistency kind of beats everything,
Love it.
especially with what I do with podcasts and stuff. Like I'm constantly uploading different forms of media and stuff like that. Like if you I was talking to like a friend I met about this because he's working on like a type of social media marketing kind of agency, and he was saying that like he's taking like 45 minutes every day to improve his business and stuff like that. And that's what you got to do. You just got to be consistent. It doesn't have to be 24/7. It doesn't have to be, sometimes it doesn't even have to be every single day, but as long as you're keeping something consistent with maybe what I'm doing with uploading weekly episodes, weekly interviews, or it's just constantly trying to improve certain aspects of the business or the podcast, whether that's networking, getting in contact with people, scheduling future episodes. You gotta always want to be pushing towards like a future goal.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've really learned, because if you're not, because you can just be talking about something, but if you're not actually like taking the time and being vulnerable enough to reach out to random people you've never spoke to, and willing to be open to anyone to come on the podcast or have a conversation with anyone, you're really like just not going to do well. I mean, this right here came from someone that I met on Twitter, and then eventually I interviewed him, and we had a great interview. It's coming out, I think September 12th is when the NFT Engravers episode's coming out. So I had a really cool time kind of getting with him and learning all about his business. So it's really cool, and I think that's kind of most important.
Honestly, that's awesome, man. No, I'm glad you literally took the words out of my mouth as far as consistency goes. And just like you said, even if it's 45 minutes a day, one thing I learned this year was the reason they say that is because it's better than zero. So anything is better than zero. And then it exponentially grows. So if you have a 0 day, that's just been my rule this year. It's like no 0 day.
Yeah.
Something for each of these projects that you've committed your time to, and watch them. Everyone's like, oh, you can't have your hand in all these different things. And I'm like, no, you can build systems to do it, and I contribute to it just daily. And it's just helped me. I do the same thing on the mental side. So like, there's a quote that it's probably viral on Reels, but it's like, if things are going down, like just stay consistent. Like just think about what you can get consistent, start doing it again, and then you'll be okay. And people don't want to trust it. They just think it sucks. Some people just get stuck in that loop, and it's just little things, anything kind of being better than zero. Now I did have I want to get into let's shift gears into the Web3 space a little bit. So, a lot of you guys, you might have known if you saw our episode that dropped, but Michael has the Web3 Weekly podcast. It does very well on Twitter. There's not a lot of crypto podcasts in the space, and I think you guys stand out because, like you said, you're so active. So, touch base on that, and then touch base, for a beginner into the NFT space, kind of give us a little.
Yeah. Perfect. Pretty much what Web3 Weekly is it was created around November of 2021 because a friend and I, we were constantly having trouble not knowing like what resources to trust in this crypto space. Like we didn't really have that much of an understanding of what crypto was, whether that's different cryptocurrencies, diving into NFTs. We were having trouble kind of grasping everything. And I kind of realized that if I'm having trouble getting content, other people must be having the exact same problem. So I feel like that could be a space in kind of a little avenue I could fill, and started off kind of making episodes, really just explaining the basics, like what is crypto, what is blockchain, everything like that. And then eventually we got in contact with many different NFT collections and stuff like that. We started doing interviews to kind of improve the content and expand the nature of what we do. And also we started doing daily, well, not daily, but kind of just weekly weekly episodes kind of covering some news, or whenever breaking news would drop, I would create an episode, explain the news to have everyone kind of just get a better understanding of like what's trending on Twitter, why is it trending, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And whether that be like big developments. I mean, recently, Instagram allowed you to post your own NFTs onto Instagram, and I made an episode explaining all that, and also how like the listener could actually post their own NFT if they wanted to. So that's kind of what Web3 Weekly is.
Cool.
And yeah, I'm trying to kind of grow the brand. So I like to it being considered just Web3 Weekly. Obviously, it is a podcast, but I think eventually, as I expand into more content and maybe even different avenues, I think Web3 Weekly can eventually become maybe like an umbrella of many different things.
Dude, I saw the same, and I don't know how far you've looked into like my stuff, but I'm glad to hear you say that, because me being now 21 and getting started in my like business, ideally around the same age, like 17 to 19, like it took, once I realized that, it was very cool. Like I saw a very similar transition. PLUGtalk was PLUGtalk for a year.
Yeah.
This summer I was literally just like in the shower, like, dude, this is bigger than a podcast. And there's a ceiling there. But cool. It's a great way to build your brand. And now let's get into that a little bit. I want to talk, what do you enjoy the most about podcasting?
I think honestly the freedom with what you want to do, especially just because if I'm making an education episode and trying to figure out what I want to talk about, I'm able to do what I want. If I want to cover the news, I can. If I want to do interviews, I can. Also, but like I mean, I'm doing what I want, but it's always for the listener. It's not for me because as I'm recording, I'm getting all the knowledge. So it's not like I don't need to listen to it on Spotify because I was there. If that makes sense. So I try to do my best to like ask questions like if I didn't know what was going on, what would I want to ask? What would I want to ask this CEO? What would I want to ask this developer? Stuff like that, just to kind of get a better look into how like what's going on in Web3, who's behind it, what's really making Web3 tick and stuff like that. But also, I just like that I'm meeting so many people, and I feel like I'm making so many connections inside this space that like I'm just expanding my network, and I interviewed because I kind of worked and helped out with Special K Glass over the summer, and I'm still kind of in contact with them because obviously with school, I kind of let them know, hey, like I'm not really going to be able to help you all as much. But ever since I started working with them this summer, I hosted nightly. We call it the nightly toke because they are a professional glass blowing business and they make any type of kind of glassware you would need. And they're trying to get into the NFT space, and I help them kind of learn more about different parts of kind of the NFT and Web3 space, as well as host the nightly toke, which every night we would uh, have an interview with someone inside the space to kind of bring communities together to teach everyone kind of the basics as well as kind of learn more about the guest. And yeah, and like just stuff like that. Like I never knew that was even possible. Like I never knew that would happen if I didn't just talk to people, if I didn't meet people. And then eventually, like my mom always says, like you meet person A meets you to person B introduces you to C, and actually you end up liking C the most. So like it's kind of like you never know like who you're gonna meet.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool, man. What advice would you have for someone who's thinking about starting a podcast?
No one actually cares, but like not in like an egotistical way. I'm saying that in if you're making it and think you're gonna get like teased or made fun of, like, dude, no one cares. Like worst case scenario, people that you don't even know, like that maybe know you. Like if when I was in high school doing it, people kind of figured it out, and it became it would just like come up in conversation. They'd be like, yeah, well, like Michael, you doing that like that Bitcoin podcast? I'm like, yeah, I'm just doing it for fun, like a little side hustle. And then like, oh, okay, like they don't really care. Like if honestly, unless it's like your best friend and like they're making fun of you for it, obviously, like I don't know if you're
It's out of love.
if you're like considered. I don't really know if you're kind of if you consider that like your best friend if they're actually making fun of you. But like also, you just got to realize that like if you want to actually do something, there's going to be people that are just trying to kind of put you down because it kind of in all reality, like I hate saying this stuff just because it seems like so just basic motivation stuff, but like there's some people who are just scared to kind of do their own thing,
right? Like in
yeah,
my opinion,
yeah,
I used to be the same way, but then I just started noticing. I'm like, honestly, dude, if this many people are, fucking saying it to you, or if this keeps coming up in your head, it's not by coincidence, right? Like everything happens kind of for you. So I know I appreciate you saying that, and just because that is it. There's a lot of very intelligent people that could give a lot of value to the world for an hour a week and would actually benefit off of it, but are so uncomfortable with what people are thinking. Honestly, dude, I don't know. I couldn't really tell you like 25 like direct friends that like watch every episode. I get more reaction out of people who have no idea who I am anyway. And
yeah, and like I completely understand. Like my close niche friends, like they're not really into crypto and stuff. I'm like, guys, you don't have to be. Like it's okay. Like I understand.
Right? So are 6 billion other people that aren't watching it. Like
just because I am your friend, like you don't have to feel obligated to do something that you don't want to do. Like, I'm not going to sit here and like, it doesn't even come up in conversation anymore when I'm hanging out with my friends, just because I've
Yeah.
been doing it for a year. It's just kind of something normal. It's not like it's anything new.
Yeah. Cool, man. Now, what has been your favorite episode so far, and why, or ever? Do you have one off the top of your head?
I honestly, I'll never forget my first real interview. That was like groundbreaking, just because it was it was like my first like NFT collection interview I did when I still had a co-host. We kind of we didn't really we kind of split up just because he got a full-time job, and he
Yeah.
was like, Michael, I don't really know if I'm gonna be able to do this, and he like gave me the reins in that.
Hey,
But
you guys are 17,
I
18.
always want to mention that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I always mention that no matter what. If
Cool.
people ask me about the true, like, I guess, origins of Web3 Weekly, just because it's like, hey, I didn't do this alone. I started with a really, really, really good friend of mine. But
Yeah.
we came in contact with this NFT collection called Party Horses, which is based out of Louisville, Kentucky, where I'm from. And it felt really, really cool to interview them, just because obviously it was our first, so we didn't really know what was going on. But also, we just learned so much about them. Like, we only thought the interview was going to be 30 minutes. It went on for like a little bit over an hour. Like, it was just fun to talk to this guy. And we didn't even realize by the end of it, the guy went to the same high school that we were currently
That's true.
attending. So like, I kind of blew me away, and like, I'll never really forget that. And I've actually met the project dev in person, just because we lived in the same city. And like, I mean, we've kept in contact and everything like that. So the interview with Party Horses is definitely something I'll never forget. But um, and what they did, all kind of for a little bit of background, they did a collection with they partnered with Maker's Mark, and they made one like your NFT gave you access to one bottle of Maker's Mark's bourbon. If anyone's kind of thinking about like what those look like, feel free to check out my Twitter. Just type in like Party Horses, and it will come up. I was able to receive one, which is really cool. But yeah, it's really cool. I feel like there's so many different episodes I could talk about, just because all the interviews are kind of interesting. You learn something new about each other through it. But also, I think the interview with Special K Glass NFT definitely is something that's really important to me, just because it kind of started off that entire segment of my summer. I mean, I interviewed him at the start of the summer, and I ended up working with him until the like start of August. So it was cool, and I can't thank Chris enough. Like, shout out Chris Yulhorn, shout out Hecka Becca. What like kind of like her nickname? She it's a
Facts.
yeah.
I'm gonna try to do a thing this year where if I can go through the podcast and pick out every person that I mention or that comes up, I'm gonna tag them and just
That would be
really
crazy.
try to get people engaged. Yeah, I think it'd be cool because you never know. But cool, man. I think that there's a lot of I think people are gonna get a lot out of that. So nice. Now I'm curious. I just thought of this question, and I honestly thought about it this morning. It was uh, we've never lived. We're very still new in the creator space, in the creator world, like the whole society as a whole, right? Like there's 2,000 years of other stuff that happened
Yeah.
before any sort of internet or social media. So I'm just curious, as someone who's making content at 18, what effect do you think it's gonna have when you maybe like I don't know when I don't have a number in my head when I'll like stop. But like what effect do you think it's gonna have when let's say you have kids one day and this stuff like they'll still be able to see? Do you ever think about like that? Like how much you're gonna
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of cool because like
yeah.
it could be 30 years in the future, and like my kids are watching this right now, which would be absolutely crazy. But it would definitely be a cool feeling, because it's just like a video or audio kind of time what's it, well, time map, or what's like the, yeah, yeah, or just like you can see like how you got better over time, how you improved, like maybe you get in touch with better people. Yeah. But I think it's the creator kind of economy that we're in, you could say. It's pretty cool. I think everyone has the ability to do something. Not everyone's going to make it a full-time job. Like this is not my full-time job. Like I'm in college to get a full-time job pretty much. But I mean, everyone has yeah, but everyone has like the ability to have a creative outlet. Everyone can do something if they want. And also, I think by the time I mean, more and more people are able to make their own content, and I'd rather watch just random YouTube videos than like a show on Netflix. And I think that's giving a lot of power to kind of individual people, taking that power away from like big companies and kind of just sending money back to like the deep down creators, the people that kind of are doing the hard work and don't have all the kind of budgets behind them.
Yeah, man, I like where you went with that. I think it's gonna be interesting. Looking back, it's added an element of authenticity to where if you're incentivizing people to create something and it provides value, why not, right? And that's
Yeah,
where I'm just like, dude, if you know something that could help someone, like a lot of the people that I've started watching like within the last 15 months, they're not on TV shows. They're not on the news. I don't even watch the news anymore, really. They're not like it's Arlen on YouTube. It's Iman Ghazi on YouTube. It's these guys that I just exposed myself to, that have provided value, that I've tried stuff that they've done out and seen success with. And there's never been that accessibility to information. And it's very interesting. So it's gonna be cool to kind of see how it all plays down. We're about 31 minutes in. I want to get some of these. First off, just so I have this kind of clip, what's some advice for someone who's interested in getting started in Web3?
kind of just or yeah. So some advice is just be willing to learn about be willing to learn about anything. Be willing to be wrong. Be willing to have no idea what's going on, but eventually you can piece it together. I mean, I wouldn't call myself a Web3 expert by any means. I really just know the deep level basics, we can call. Like I understand different blockchains, understand how the basics of crypto and NFTs work, and that's kind of why I think this field's really cool, especially with the NFTs and kind of being able to verify digital assets is something that's really important to me. Just because when you see like your online persona, you want to be able to own stuff um, just like the real world. But just some advice would be obviously just have a willingness to learn, be willing to kind of just sit down and let other people talk, maybe take some notes while watching a YouTube video about the basics. That's kind of how I do it. Just to, because you, yeah, listen to Web3 Weekly. I mean, I'm not gonna, I'll throw a little plug in there. I'm not gonna, I'll say my content's pretty good. Yeah. But I probably should start doing some more explainer episodes just to get more content out there. I've been doing a lot of interviews lately, but I think slowly I'm gonna like just start expanding my content to anything really.
Nice, man. All right, now for some of the more fun questions. I asked you. Now we're gonna shout out the Money Buys Happiness podcast. They're kind of under full send. I don't know if you've seen those guys yet. Great value on those Canadian boys. Just I always appreciate like how grateful they are that they're on like the Full Send network now and like getting their show out. But anyway, they ask all their guests this, and I'm curious. In your opinion, does money buy happiness?
I would say it can to an extent. There's a certain point where money doesn't buy happiness, but money can it can pay to solve problems that increase sadness and everything like that. But there's a certain point where money just like doesn't really mean anything to you. Like if you're making like $1 million a year, you can obviously afford to have a lot of your problems solved. You can hire people to do certain things. You can take your work and push it on to other people so you don't have to think and be as stressed. But I mean, you can't, it's not like an unlimited, it's kind of like a linear equation graph where it does go up and then it just kind of peaks and like then it just eventually goes down because there's sometimes you're making so much money where you don't really understand like, are these my friends because of me? Are these my friends because of the money I'm making? Like, do they worry? Do they care about me, or do they only show up during good times and stuff like that? So there is a lot of problems that can happen when you just make just a disgusting amount of money.
Yeah, I got you. I can't give my opinion on that every week. Otherwise, everyone's going to like spin it and twist it. So I appreciate your answer, but we'll just move on. All right. What are 3 questions you have for the host?
Ooh, let's see. First question.
And I have to be brutally
So
honest.
obviously,
I don't have to hold back. I don't.
okay,
This is
okay.
the point.
When you first saw my content, what was the first thing you saw? Like you thought?
So I'm trying to think the episode I watched before I interviewed you the first time. And then obviously ours. I thought you had it seemed like you'd been doing it a lot longer than you had. Like I was like, I didn't realize you were 18. If that gives you a good enough answer, I guess. Like it surprised me. I go, because you were just so like the beginning of it is just so like you're calm, you're direct, you get into it, you keep it like simple and fluid, but yeah, it's just like it's easy to listen to, and yeah, obviously with it being in such a new space, you don't want to be super intense and like get into details that not everyone's going to understand. Like because you interviewed, it was KU Coin founder or something, or like one of the coin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one I listened to. And that's like a very high level. I mean, to create something like that guy created, you could get into some very high level stuff and people would just have no idea what you're talking about. But it wasn't like that. It was just more like, educating without, getting too in the nitty gritty. NFTs are such a new thing. I mean, we're talking 2 3 years, right? So, yeah.
Let's see, another one. I mean, that's a really good question because I always wonder. It's like I always want to make sure when people see it for the first time, the first impression's good.
Yeah.
That's really the goal of everything. Just because the first impression, especially with the mass amount of people making content, like if the first impression is bad, someone's not going to take the time to listen past the first impression. Just because there's other podcasts, other videos, and stuff like that, other content to be accessed. But I'm trying to think of another. So I guess I'm going through it. So obviously, we talked about this earlier, or when the podcast really didn't get saved. But how did you, when you first were entering college, like, and obviously you had your business, like, what was it like for you? Like, did you have trouble balancing everything? And just kind of explain that a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like to say I had control the whole time, but it was just talking about the other. I think there's like a little bit more imposter syndrome than I probably wanted myself to allow because I was I was just very emotionally attached to what I built, and I had a lot of success from 17 to like 19. So yeah, when I first got to school, I think I did have. It's totally normal. Okay, here's are you asking like what I learned? Sorry, what was the reframe again? Yeah. Okay, what I learned.
Pretty much just like, did you like struggle with balancing your time?
Yeah.
Like, how was your first year in college?
How I went about it. So yeah, I 100% struggled. Not in a sense where I let it overtake my daily life, though. I took the time to be a college kid, and I was running track. Like I said, you're involved in a lot of different things. It's okay. That's what you're there to do. And I was doing like a luxury sales business. So I built a network in St. Augustine, but you kind of rebuilt that network in Miami. And so like I understood it was going to take time, but it didn't hold me back from at least like I got involved with a guy who became my mentor, shout out Chase. And he had an eBay business very similar to mine. So he was reselling people's stuff, but doing it the eBay route. And the guy who really helped get me into Nova, Fred Forgy, he introduced me to Chase because he was like Chase's mentor. So it was like I would do stuff like that. I went to networking events. Like I just kept my business was there, and I handled it well in maintaining the reputation I built. So I'm going to say fundamentally the action I was taking could have been better, but I was so young. But I maintained the feeling that it gave me having it be like successful and understanding what I built. And I made sure people felt that. Like when they asked me, what's Profit Jack? Like, as you can see, I still held the banners always, it's up. Everything I do now is like under Profit Jack Enterprises because that's what really allowed me to do what I'm doing now. So I wasn't afraid to necessarily pivot, but it took believing in it to open these doors and really, kind of go with it. So believe in it. Don't stress too much about the action. It's going to come. Just maintain up here, and you're miles ahead of I was. I was maintaining a podcast my freshman year at college. So yeah.
I think really the balance of school, business, hangouts, social events, we'll call them. Like you gotta just have an equal balance. You gotta make sure everything's going well. Like I'm not one of those guys. Like I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that you can't party, can't have fun. Like I'm not. Like that's like why would you go to college? Like obviously, I mentioned earlier, like we're in college to get a degree, but also you want to have the college experience. You want to have memories. You want to make memories with your friends and kind of just do dumb stuff from time to time. Just because you're 18, like when else are you going to be able to do dumb stuff? But yeah, it's definitely pretty cool, and I'm kind of just excited for what the future holds. If that makes sense.
Yeah, cool. All right, one more.
Let's see. Feels like the genie in the bottle. I get 3 wishes. I got one more. I don't want to waste it. Let's see. One more question. If I was listening right now, what would I want to know about you? Let's see. Pretty much. What are you currently doing right now? Like, what's your kind of main business? Obviously, you're doing like the podcast and video interviews, but other than that, I kind of what's the basics of PLUGtalk and everything like that?
Yeah, so PLUGtalk is a collaborative social management agency, which means we manage content creators. We use social media to manage content creators, athletes, artists, and build brands. It's just we're built on social media strategy, and each brand that works with us, they become a part of our network, for life. So we have a whole thing like we grow those that help us grow. So once they're a retainer, if they refer someone, they make a monthly commission off that referral because they brought them into our network, and it's just the way I want to operate it. And because it's on social media, we're able to implement simple strategies for each brand. I don't like to say what kind of management it is, like it's not down to one thing. We believe in this thing where each brand has a different strategy. So if you're popping on TikTok, why are you not popping on YouTube? And if you're popping on, I don't want to say we're just a full service social media marketing agency. We are. It's just each brand, they don't need to go in thinking everything's got to be dialed in. We're not going to, sell anything like that. We take everything week by week and base it off goals. What are you trying to accomplish in your business or your brand growth? And that's what we bring to the table. Who can I connect you with that makes that process happen? So yeah, that's really what it is. And, building projects off of it. So we just launched our UFC podcast, 2 great guys, Shane and Keith are rolling with that. And then I'm going to start dropping these PLUGtalk episodes, the weekly profits of business pod that, I've always had. So, we'll probably mix and match some content and really, just show out there. I think there's a lot of cool stuff, people that are like in the journey that we can showcase on the media side. So yeah, we do content production and social media management pretty much.
That's awesome. That's super cool.
Cool, brother. Now I want to come back. Do you have an idea, a cool idea you think someone else should invent? Anything you'd like to see, in the next?
I don't really know. I don't know if it's possible, but like,
I'm just like somebody needs to make flying cars.
That would be solar power cars where like you could leave your car outside and it just fully charged would be dope as hell.
Fair.
But also like if I'm just like if my dream, just a machine that I could put 2 decisions in and it makes the right one every time, so I don't have to stress about anything. Like if it's anything like that, just give it all the questions or give it all the different choices, and it just tells me which one to do. And
dude, that's probably one of the best answers I've heard in the 3-ish episodes I've shot. Dude, that's awesome. All right, Michael, plug us in. Where can we connect with you?
Yeah, so if anyone is looking to check out the Web3 Weekly, I have my link tree in my Twitter. So my Twitter is Web3 Weekly, Web3 Weekly Pod. It's easily accessed there. Obviously, the logo looks like this. And if you send me a follow, I'd love that. But also, if you don't use Twitter, I also have Instagram. Instagram's Web3_Weekly. And if you want to kind of get a better access to everything I do, just check out the link tree in my Twitter and Instagram bio. It'll give you access to all of the streaming platforms where the podcast is, as well as all the social medias, and maybe even there's also some different kind of brands I'm working with that have some referral codes in my link tree too, if you want to check that out. But obviously it's not necessary. But if you're going to check out the podcast on Spotify, give me a follow and leave a good review, just because it really means a lot. It helps grow the brand, because it tells Spotify, hey, it's pretty small, but guess what? People are enjoying it.
Cool, man. All right, Plug. That was fun. Hope everyone got a ton of value out of this. We are rolling pretty much every week from here on out. So, I don't know, all these are going to drop, pretty consistently. Like, subscribe, YouTube, everywhere. Follow on Instagram. And if you want the best social media management on the planet, you know where to find me. This is where the service where you make money. Like, you build your side hustle and you grow your brand at the same time. So thank you so much, Michael. Glad we actually got to do this.
Yeah.
Fingers
crossed. No problem. I'm happy. Yeah.
Recorded, so we're good. I'll get you all the content to this as always, but I'm just gonna press.
Awesome.